Yeah, thank you for hosting us, actually. So I'll actually pass it down to Laura. We got some nice content for you guys today. We are going to build a chat app, but we'll start from UX all the way to building an app using Firebase. So Laura, it's up to you now.
Sure. Thank you, Sumit. I'm actually happy that I get the chance to actually discuss with developers and share my experience with you. And now me, Martin, and Sumit will take you through a journey where we'll show you how we take the UX design to build an app and get it to using Flutter with Firebase. So I will gonna share some screens with you. Give me a moment, please. Everybody can see it, I hope.
A quick question to Prajeet. Are you recording already?
Yes.
Sure, okay.
Okay. Yeah, so as I said, me, Martin, and Sumit will show you how we'll create an app starting from UX. Now I will start with the agenda. I will explain you how I design an app using Adobe XD. At 6:30 we'll have a break. Afterwards, Martin will take over and we'll have an introduction to building an app, Flutter app. And after Martin's talking, Sumit will talk about integration with Firebase. So a little bit about myself. I'm a UX UI designer. I studied design and arts, but I am doing research, and I started a few years ago to do a research in UX and UI design because I'm very interested in it. And now I'm focusing more on creating mobile apps from design point of view. I have also a great passion for delivering best digital experience for the users. So that is why I'm doing my best to learn as much as I can and implement my designs in my work. I will continue with why I find very important UX design in creating an app. Here we're having slides about collaboration, and I'll talk why it's so important. Usually, collaboration, it doesn't happen between a designer and developer, and that is why so many apps are failing. To have a very successful app, I think it's very important that developers as well have a mindset, UX mindset. And that is why as well, if the developer doesn't have it already, it's very good if he will get advice from UX designer so he can get it into his mind, how it works, how user experience will work. And I would say that building an app only using codes, it doesn't work as successful without design and the other way around. Reason for this is because, as I said, so many apps I've seen it, they're failing, just failing. And why collaboration? Because we want a great product, we will have to make it. We'll need to have these three parts of the product. It needs to be desirable, that's to meet the customer needs. The product or the app needs to be viable to generate profit, and needs to be feasible to be able the developers to build it. So for these points, we need developers, we need UX designers to collaborate, and we need the other stakeholders of the business in case you're working for some companies. Now I'll explain you what means UX and UI, because I'm sure you've heard it so many times, but I'm not sure how many of you really understand it. User experience, UX comes from user experience. That means the journey that a user is taking when he is using an app, from pressing a button, from going from a page to another. UX experience designer is advocating for the user. That means they will fight, of course not fight, but to get to understand the best the user, what user features will need a user to for an app to use. And UI design is the look of the app. These two needs to be combined. UI design is worthless, meaningless without UX, user experience. And to do this, we are we are using design thinking process. That means we start to empathize, we'll define our findings, we'll ideate what we find, we'll prototype, and we'll test. We'll use iteration for all of these steps. Further, I'll get you through the product journey, how I created the app. As you can see on my left side, we have personas. That means I did the research, I interpreted the results of the research, I defined what a persona needs. A persona is a group of users, targeted users, and gathered their needs in one, let's say, one person. And on the right side, I continued with ideation of this. That means I did brainstorming together with my colleagues, with Sumit, with Martin. We were thinking what features we need for this app so we can implement it. And we classified it in nice to have and must have for features for the app. The ideation point, the ideas from there, I started to implement it into sketches on papers to see how my app will look. I created as well the user's flows because we want exactly to know how our app, what flow, what route our user will take when they will use our app. And on the right side, I continued with the prototype. I have a prototype in Adobe XD. In between, there are some steps I will show you in my app in Adobe XD I'm using. To get from sketches, it's very important to test before. That's why I'm stopping here and I'm going into Adobe XD. So I'll show how it works and make you understand why maybe it's nice for you to know how to use Adobe XD and to help you in developing your app. I will go to my Adobe XD. Just a moment, please. Here we are in Adobe XD. This is the journey. This is how I started to, from my sketches. From my sketches, I started to create wireframes and prototype for each screen of my app. And it looks like this. It doesn't look like a design because I wanted firstly to make sure that it will be usable. So I created the content, architecture of my app. As you can see here, we have also menu bars and trying to see how my user will go through my app. And for this, I'm prototyping. That's a great tool, Adobe XD for prototyping. I'll show you a little bit about this. For example, I have an icon and I'm pressing it and creating just interactions with it. I'm going to notifications, for example. And from notifications, I'm choosing to go to my agenda. And to see what I did, I will have this type of prototype. I'm going to notifications and to my agenda. And this is very important to know how to use the prototype. I'm sorry, guys, because I'm trying to, yeah, I'm back now. It's very important to know how to use the prototype because you want to test it before starting the design. You want to understand that your app is validated. And I'll share with you a link afterwards so you can test as well if you like to try to see how it works, Adobe XD. Okay, after doing the wireframes and prototyping and testing, I went to start creating my design for the app. here I have assets, what I will use for the app. A quite important feature is that I can create components. So if you want to use Adobe XD, for example, and you don't want to spend so much time on building each screen, you just create one component. You'll go on your screens and drag it from here to whatever, any screen that you want to have it set. It's very easy to use. And also the good thing is if I'm changing, for example, here a color, let's say I'm taking black. If I'm going back to my screen, I'll see it will change in the same time on all the components that I used. So this is a very helpful feature, very important one. And as well, I'm doing prototype. I'm going back to prototype, and it will look, the whole app, it will look like this. This is not coded, as I assume you know. It's very important for you if you don't want to start and spend time in coding to create all high fidelity prototype, testing with the users, and then go back and build it, code it. That is why I'm saying it's very important also to collaborate, the developing team to collaborate with user experience team, because it might be that some are not functional, you cannot implement it. So it's better to talk, to have a meeting, workshops together, and decide what it works to be done or not. As me, Sumit, and Martin, for example, we collaborated for this app, and we used Trello, and we started to build it. They started to build it step by step as soon as I gave them the design, and they told me whenever they couldn't build it, and we had great collaboration with this. And some important features for that Adobe XD has, some plugins actually that will help you as developer. There are some plugins. Let me check. For example, I'm having export. Yeah, I found it. It's very good one. Whenever you have, if you have Adobe XD files from your design team, you'll have Flutter, export Flutter icons. So you'll have the code for developers, and you can work it in Flutter. Okay. Then I'm having another plugin, very important. It's usability. In this way, you can set, I'll show you how it will work. You can create a test. If you don't want to go directly into the code, in coding, you just create a test, open analytics, and then you interpret and see what's working, what you need to add for the users. Because as I talked before, if the app is not useful for the persons who wants it, who will use it, then if you keep one day and then they will delete the app, I'm not sure. That means you need to work more and do a best experience. So that's why it's good to test. Okay. And I'm going back to my presentation because I want to choose 3 screens that Sumit and Martin will create for me. I will, it's attendees, it's a chat actually, it's for attendees. They'll create as well for Messenger, a box for messengers, and they'll show you in Flutter. Okay. I think if you have questions for me, I'll be happy to answer because I'm quite in time now. I'm trying to see.
But it's quite interesting, like with having this collaboration between developer and user experience people, because it is very valuable, and they can sort of talk about, okay, what is feasible. The developer can give inputs, and you can ask, oh, is this actually possible? And maybe even gives some other inputs to the developer, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's why I'm focusing very much on have this collaboration, and firstly, the developers to have a user experience mindset.
Hi, this is Mahavir.
I'm happy.
This tool is a open source, or we have to pay the license for that?
It's open source actually. That's the good part of Adobe XD. Compared with others, with other programs that Adobe has, this one is for free.
Okay, and it's for specifically for mobile apps, or it's for the website as well?
It's both. You can build also mobile. You can build also website. Yes.
Ah, that's cool.
Yes,
Great. I will try.
exactly.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
I actually have a question about that Flutter icons plugin.
Yes.
Because I've noticed that you can actually like transfer Adobe XD design to Flutter code, but
Exactly.
it's not in release yet, if I'm correctly, right?
What we talked, and I think I've sent you a code.
Yeah.
Is that this is a different one. It's only for icons.
Okay.
So yeah, I'm very curious which one is the difference, if how it will work, the other app, because I was very surprised or finding this. You're talking about the download XD for Flutter, this one, right?
Yeah, I remember that they talked about it to some Flutter Interact that was in December or something, wasn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
It was in December, yeah. And they sort of showed how you could take a complete Adobe XD design and then have a fully functional Flutter code afterwards. And that just makes it so easy, and especially for the developer not needing to use that much time to actually make UI.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah,
that could be great when it comes out of beta.
Exactly.
But yeah, you guys can sign up for the beta test out. I don't know. I will definitely do that.
Yeah, and you can try with the other one that I have on Adobe XD already. If because that one is only for icons, so to see how it works with that one, and then go. But definitely, this is worth it to download it and try it. Just looking forward to be released. Yeah. Do you have any other questions about user experience design?
Yes. Can we get these slides?
Of course, definitely.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I did a quick poll around the audience. I'm going to share that screen if you don't mind, Laura.
Yeah, sure.
So yeah, you need to stop sharing while I take that.
Should I stop share or sharing?
Yes, please. Yeah, because I think I cannot share this link to you, so I may have to share my screen because of that.
Yeah, okay. Well, my point, it was that collaboration is the king, I would say.
Mm-hmm. So what we can see, although a lot of people have, as I can see 20 plus members, so 8 of you were brave enough to answer this question. Are you a designer or a developer? And it looks like 13% out of 8. I don't know what does that mean. Is it like 1.5 or 2% is it is wearing multiple hats? We don't have many designers apart from you in this talk today.
Yeah.
Yeah, so as most of us are developers, so I can see that there's so much keen interest on how Adobe XD work. So I feel like if you could just show us how you build one screen, maybe the attendees app a bit more deeper, spend maybe a few minutes so we can see how that has been done, and then we can hand that off to Martin.
Yeah, sure. So I'll go back.
Yeah, that would be great. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm actually surprised that the developers are interested in seeing how I work in UX, how a designer works.
So I'm going to stop sharing.
Yes, please. So I can.
Thanks, Sumit. Thanks.
You're welcome. Please. Okay, I'll share it with you in a moment. Okay. So let's take the attendee, this one, for example. I'll start from the beginning. I'm using an artboard, and I have here which one I want to use.
So you, sorry to interrupt, you downloaded and you get this view, right? Once you download the software and install it, you will get this view, right?
I will get, I'll show you, I will get this view. And then I'm going into this. So it will be a blank paper.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. And then I'll start to build. I need to go back to my design because I have the components. Okay. And after creating all the components I've shown you, which I'll find on the right side here. Oh, sorry, left side. I'll just drag a component. This is created by me as well. And I'm having menu bars, headers as well. So, or you can find actually these components on libraries on the internet. You just, if you search on Google, a design system for XD, you'll find a lot and you can get inspired and just easy to use. If you don't want to create your...
Sorry to interrupt here. This component which is in the left side, it is not available by default. I have to download somewhere, or it?
It's not by default. Either you'll download it or you'll create it. It's very simple. I'll create a component now.
No, I'm talking about the bottom component. Just like this is in Android we call as a toolbar or menu bar at the bottom. So which you just drag it. This will be available, or this we have to down?
This is created by myself.
Okay.
Yes, exactly. But I'll show you very fast how you create a component. Let's say we have this color, this square, and we have another square that is white. I'm just grouping it and, oh, hello. I'm going back, sorry, I lost it. I'm just grouping it. And then I'm just making component. It will appear here on the left side, and I'm just dragging it. That's how we create. Okay?
Yeah, great. I got it.
I'm glad you get it. Yeah. And afterwards, I'm just creating the holders for my users, for my attendees. I'm adding colors, their transparency. Another important function is repeat grid. So if I'm dragging, I don't need to rebuild it again. I just know exactly the dimension by doing it, by repeating it. I'm going again on transparency to make it similar. Getting rid of the borders. And now I'm adding pictures. For adding pictures, I'm using again a plugin. And I'm just adding pictures with its help. So it's very easy as well to not think, and what I'm saying is that you don't need a designer to create all of this. If you know how your app will look, you just easily go in Adobe XD and create a prototype. And the text. Changing the dimension and how you want to have the text. Copy paste for a name. Yeah, so it's how I create. And if I'm using again repeat grid, again I don't need to paste it to rebuild everything. I'm just repeating the grid, so it's very easy to use it. To see what I did, actually I might do one more screen so I can show you some prototype. I'm just clicking a name and drag it to the other screen. And now if I'm clicking this name, it will change. So it's how you verify everything what you did.
That was quick. I can't do that quick, but that was pretty good.
I did it too fast, I know. Yeah, you have the function prototype and here play, so you can see how it works, your prototype. And this way, it's very important to, as I said, to test it at this phase, and then you find out easily what your app needs to do. And then you won't have an app that will fail, as I said, many of them are just being used 2-3 times, and then nobody will touch them again because maybe it doesn't have functionality, usability, maybe, yeah, who knows? It's not a proper UX design process behind. Okay. So here is how it looks, my entire app with prototyping. I will go back to the 3 ones that that Martin and Sumit will build for us, and will show you how to build it. And we'll take it from here. Now we'll have a break, 10 minutes break, but I will see you soon. Martin will take over afterwards.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you, Laura. Thank you.
Thank you too. See you later.